Am I still recording? Oh my god. I got distracted. Recently, America has been hit with rare back-to-back hurricanes with Helene and Milton, with research and news stating that these events are going to be more frequent with climate change. Now, you might be wondering, what does climate change have to do with all this, but don't want to do the research? Because really, who's the time for that? So what we're going to do today is to see how climate change affects the intensity and frequency of not just hurricanes, but extreme weather events in general. To fully understand how climate change intensifies the weather, firstly we have to understand what climate change is. More importantly, it is important to distinguish the differences between climate change and global warming. They're both attributed to the greenhouse effect, where greenhouse gases becomes a blanket in our atmosphere, trapping heat from the sun and heat from the ground. Heat is essentially ping-pong back and forth between the atmosphere and the earth. Global warming is a direct impact of this. Climate change, on the other hand, is a bit more complex because it's not just heating. The heating impacts the flow of natural climate variability, such as the thermohaline circulation, or what I like to call the ocean conveyor belt. Changing the natural flow of the ocean conveyor belt changes the climate, making warm places cold and cooler places warm. The greenhouse effect is directly linked to extreme weather events. The heat trap creates extreme heat conditions, increases evaporation, and reduces moisture at the surface, increasing drought frequency and severity. This could lead to wildfires from a larger scale dry vegetation, keeping fires burning once they start. Like the forest fires in Canada last year, which some say emitted half of US's carbon emissions in 2022, and others say emitted more than Japan in 2022. The warming of oceans increases evaporation and intensifies hurricanes, typhoons, and tropical cyclones. The picking up of hurricane intensity and speed can also be called rapid intensification, and this is due to the hurricane or typhoon picking up more moisture from warm waters. The Gulf of Mexico warming is like a prime example for this, hence why Florida is, well, for lack of a better word, cooked for the foreseeable future. With more evaporation and more atmospheric water vapor results in intense rainfall, snowfall, and other forms of precipitation. This increases the risks of flooding when rainfall exceeds both natural and man-made drainage systems. There are two types of floods. Pluvial floods are from rainfall, and fluvial floods are from river water rising. Pluvial floods are usually seen as the bigger concern as they're flooding places that shouldn't be flooded, like the freaking Sahara for some reason. For fluvial floods, just don't be stupid and build on a floodplain, or at least use common sense to find alternatives and work around it, like building on stilts or implementing a drainage system. High tide flooding can also be considered as an extreme weather event. With sea level rise through ocean warming and the melting of ice caps comes the risk of high tides, seawater submergence, and saltwater inundation. Right, so hopefully I've convinced you that climate change does indeed intensify extreme weather events and makes them more severe. But so what? How does it affect us? I could go on a whole spiel on how to reduce our carbon footprint, but I feel like most people know how to, but doesn't have the why element to it. Witnessing and experiencing extreme weather events might just be the reason why we should start caring. Climate change is ultimately a humanity issue. Selfish or selfless, we benefit from our environment thriving. The environment is crying for help with these extreme weather events, so it might be worth considering working with the environment, working for the environment rather than working against it. In recent years, ever since I learned about climate change, any weather anomaly I have seen, I've attributed it to climate change. I've always used it as a reminder as of why I do what I do and why I care about the things I care about. But not everyone gets it, and they're like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. And it's so frustrating because like they clearly know what's going on. Oh my days, my voice. But don't care to know enough. You produce methane. Like, I know everyone doesn't care on the same level, and I can't force anyone to care for it, but like, come on. I don't see how people can look at the global suffering climate change is currently causing and they're like, yeah, okay, let's continue that. I'm not living not long enough to see it happen anyway. And sometimes even those experiencing those extreme weather events don't get it either. My undergrad thesis was on Hurricane Ian, and from what I remember, it was the first time the Florida governor acknowledged that climate change was a factor, which I was like, how? Like, you guys are getting cooked all the time and you're realizing this in 2022? I don't get it. And it's not like that denies the skeptics that I'm annoyed about, even though they are annoying. It's just those who understand but like don't do anything. Because in my head, knowledge has to be followed by action. But anyways, I probably waffled this outro. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new. If you want to see more of this, like and subscribe. Really helps me out. Peace!